Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to The Success. In today's video, we're going to be going through 8 of the biggest scams in history. Before we get into the countdown, however, I want to let you guys know that we will be picking one lucky subscriber every month to win a shout out at the start of a video. All you have to do to enter this month's giveaway is like the video and comment down below saying I subscribed. Good luck guys. Now without any further ado, let's just get straight into this video. Number 8. Emmanuel Noid scammed $242 million. It was 3 years after the deed that Emmanuel Noid was found out for his scam. It was in 1993 when the Spanish bank decided to look into Noid's significant figures, which were sitting in the Cayman Islands unmonitored. Noid's scam was something of a gem. He decided to convince a man named Nelson Sakaguchi to invest in a new airport that was going to open in 1995. However, little did Sakaguchi know that this airport didn't even exist, and that Noid had made the entire thing up. Number 7. Bre-X's gold mine scammed $4 million. It was during the late 90s that John Felderhoff had convinced himself there was a property near to the Busang River that was able to produce gold after mining. From this advice, a geologist named Michael de Guzman took over the project but was unable to find any traces of gold. The scam comes from the fact that this sly Filipino geologist decided to shave some of the gold from one of his rings, saying he found it on the site, and declared that the amount of 62 tons was found there. It was down to this choice that Bre-X's property began to increase in popularity as mining investors from all around the world chose to invest in huge amounts. In 1997, when the scam was found out, de Guzman committed suicide and jumped from an airplane. Number 6. Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities LLC scammed $18 billion. With a link to the Ponzi scheme of Charles Ponzi, Madoff's scam was smart and cunning. Known as the most significant investment scam in history, it took money from investors and non-profit organizations. However, cleverly, Madoff didn't take the money straight away. He took the money from his clients to pay his older ones. He did this to convince his old investors that they were getting a fair return on their investments. Little did they know that this wasn't the case at all. Because of his scheming deviance, some companies closed down and others lost their entire livelihoods. Number 5. Ivar Kruger scammed $142 million. Helping to rebuild the new Plaza Hotel, Ivar Kruger was a famous man in New York. In 1908, he opened his own company, which was one of the most popular construction companies going in Sweden. However, it wasn't until the Kruger died that the extent of his scam came to life. After offering loans to bankrupt companies, a deal very appealing, Kruger's forged Italian bonds that he had created got found out in Sweden. Remarkably, it's recorded that because of this bust, the suicide rate went up in the country and they also lost their prime minister. It was a total disaster. Number 4. Aus dos Reis, excuse the pronunciation, scammed $1.3 million. 1925 was not the first year that Aus dos Reis was in trouble with the law. While in prison in 1924, Reis decided to come up with another plan widely known as the Portugal banknote affair. Reis' idea was to scam companies into making false money. He cleverly came up with a plan to convince a London-based company to print the equivalent of 1,007,963 British pounds. However, in a not so bright state, Reis didn't think that the low interest rate would absorb such a wide audience. The media and their journalists became increasingly interested in the Bank of Angola and Metropole, busting Reis of his scam, resulting in him being imprisoned for another 20 years. Number 3. Charles Ponzi scammed $10 million. The Ponzi scheme. Ponzi was bright and he knew it, taking advantage of investors and playing them off against each other to make profit for himself. Ponzi was definitely not stupid at all. Beginning using his technique in 1920, his name has now become popular amongst similar con artists. As talented as a Ponzi scheme is, it is usually busted pretty quickly due to 3 common things. Number 1, the operator eventually vanishes, taking all of the profit with them. Number 2, the economy charges, meaning that some investors had to back down early and didn't carry on with the commitment to the deal. And number 3, if the number of recent investors drops, the operator then has trouble paying back the returns promised initially, due to a lack of investors being able to commit. Number 2. Joseph Nashio scammed $3 billion. Despite his knowledge that the company was heading for the gutter, Joseph Nashio decided to continue to sell off high revenue targets to Wall Street. Despite knowing these companies were never going to reach their peak target, Nashio continued to convince people, earning over $2.5 billion. In 2009, Nashio finally got sentenced with 19 accounts of insider trading and was forced to pay over $19 million in fines and over $53 million to the illegal stock trading. What a bold man indeed. Not quite bright enough to get away with the scheme though. Number 1. Charles Keating scammed $5.5 billion. Revealed in 1989, Charles Keating's scam was something that many people were disgusted by. He had sold worthless bonds to many elderly residents. Being the head of Lincoln Savings Associations, Keating was well known to many, while also being a fantastic swimmer, lawyer, and real estate developer. Keating's business went bankrupt in the year his scam was exposed. It turns out that he had been taking advantage of those loose restrictions on banking investments. He began investing his depositors' money into unsolicited deals while falsifying information. Well, there you have it, guys. That was 8 of the biggest scams in history. If you did enjoy this video, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.